Welcome to the Cash Flow Project Podcast. Are you looking to better your financial situation by increasing your cash flow? Too busy to hunt for real estate deals or don't know where to start? Then you're in the right spot. Join us as we dive in and talk about investing for cash flow using multifamily real estate.
Welcome to the Cash Flow Project. I'm your host, Matt Callihan of Tri-City Equity Group. Today we have Shayne Whittington on the show. With me is my co-host, Steve Fierros.
What's up, guys?
It's going to be a really good one today, Steve. I'm excited to record this. Shayne started investing in real estate in 2017, starting Mitten Development Group. He had two other partners in that, and they focused on building high-end custom homes in Kalamazoo, Michigan. But wanting more of a passive income stream, he started investing in single-family rentals in Michigan and Indiana in 2018. He's passively invested in more than 534 units of multifamily syndications, and he's currently part of his first GP, 165-unit deal in Indianapolis area.
Yeah, pretty awesome today having Shayne on the show. Super excited to have him. You know, he's a former NBA player, so always cool to get some different insight on the world of superstars and, kind of that different world that the sports world kind of brings into play. Shayne shared with us some parts of his different experience in the journey in investing as a GP, as an LP, maybe how the benefits that he has, being a former sports player, and really but how boils down to, just hard work. And so, I think you guys will really enjoy the show. So make sure you listen.
Hey, Shayne, welcome to the Cash Flow Project. It's awesome to have you today.
I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm actually really excited to be here today. This is my first podcast ever recorded, so hopefully I don't screw up.
No. We're honored to have you for your first one.
Well, thanks, guys.
What does the NBA or what do some of these leagues do for new athletes whenever they're getting money? Yeah,
no, for sure. There's definitely programs for sure, and they have great pension annuities, 401ks, and if you sign up for it, you can basically have it auto paid out into those accounts, which is where you don't even know, obviously you don't even know, you just sign the paperwork and your HR department kind of sets everything up. But they do some of that stuff. I personally had no experience with money. I came from BFE, Paw, Michigan, and my rookie year, Paw, yeah, PAW, and rookie year, got the minimum. It was I made the Pacers team off of the rookie minimum. I wasn't drafted, had to make the team during training camp, and I basically did that for 2 years. But I had no idea what to do with the money that I was starting to get, and my agent never was a money manager. My parents were never a money manager, so obviously they were like, all right, put it away. Put it in 401k, put it into stocks and bonds and shit like that. And I didn't really think about it other than, okay, I need to save. I need to be frugal. I need to do all this because I don't want to be one of those guys. I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't want to be one of those guys that are going to lose millions and millions of dollars depending on how long I play. So that's what I did. And, I got it. I put everything in, I put probably 20% of it into, the stock market, and I started saving most of it. So I got a decent amount saved up after 2 years, and at that point, I was like, I don't know what to do with this freaking large lump sum of money. I had probably around $600,000. I didn't know what the fuck to do with. I had no idea. No one was really telling me what to do with it. And at that point in time, I was at my third year. I mean, I just kind of took it upon myself. The third year, I went overseas. I was getting 2 paychecks. I was getting one from my Pacers. I was getting one from my Spanish team. Life was good. And then once everything stopped, the season ended, my paycheck stopped completely. And that was the first time since being a professional that my paycheck stopped completely. And all these expenses were going out, but no income was coming in. And that's when I was like, I need to find something immediately to start having a consistent paycheck, every month or every quarter, something like that. And that's when I started researching what I could do. And real estate popped up, That's kind of where I went with it. That's when I started. So I was around 2017, 2018, something like that.
Yeah. So Google search brought you to real estate.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much.
Yeah.
I was listening to Joe Rogan podcasts a lot, and I switched over to Bigger Pockets.
Yeah.
Like Joe Rogan was like all I was listening to. That was the only content that I was consuming. And then, someone put me onto Bigger Pockets. I heard about Bigger Pockets through some sort of audio book or something like that. And that's where I went.
Shift.
And that's where I went. And that's became what I listened to for a year and a half, literally nothing else. I deleted everything else and listened to financial and real estate books. That's it.
That's a huge shift. I mean, I like Joe Rogan. He's definitely got some awesome, got some awesome guests on. They dive into all kinds of crazy topics, right? I mean, all kinds of relevant topics too, but it's not necessarily like practical, right? It's not necessarily stuff that you can,
it's entertaining, but it's not like, it's not something that I can go like, oh, if I go do this, then I can set myself up financially for the rest of my life.
Right. Yeah.
And that was kind of the paradigm shift that I had to make, because I wasn't getting a paycheck for 2, 3, 4 months out of the year. And then I was getting lump sums of money for 6 months out of the year. And then, so I needed to fill those gaps. And I chose, that's where real estate comes in.
Did you know anybody personally that was like, oh, I'm making this much a month, let me spend this much a month, paycheck stops, like, oh, what am I going to do now?
With the Pacers, I had some really good vets, and they talked about investing their money and doing all this other stuff, but it was more the traditional investing. Excuse me. Yeah. More the traditional investing, or, vintage cars, or, I would have to say David West, my rookie year, was probably the most intelligent man that I've really met when it comes to making sure his money's working for him. But I was too naive or too young to really understand to go up and talk to him and say, hey, what are you doing with your money kind of situation. That's something that I really regret, like now, because, at that point in time, he was like 15 years in the league. He had buku money, and he was really kind of putting it towards, the one thing he talked about was medicinal marijuana at that point in time. That was 2015. So, he was out in California, Colorado, doing all that stuff then. And I haven't talked to him since. I wish I could,
Yeah.
Just to see
I'm a Spurs guy. I'm a Spurs guy, so he was, he played for the Spurs, for a few years, and so he's always a solid player,
he's scary dude too, man, scary dude. He's a monster on the court.
So is that a role that you see yourself wanting to take on teams? Is like approaching the younger guys, like, hey, like, do you know kind of the possibilities, things that you could do? For sure, definitely, especially the American guys. If we have some American rookies, especially now, for sure. If we have some American rookies, I always try, like in the locker room after practice or after games, I talk about what I'm doing, and I don't want to particularly go, hey, you need to do this kind of thing. Yeah. I always just kind of talk about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and kind of the returns that I'm getting on what, my small portfolio, just to get the idea in their head. And if they do come to me, then okay, cool. Then we can take it, step by step. Say, hey, how do you want to do this? What vehicle do you want to use? And we'll get it done. But I try not to force anything with anybody, and I don't think people should. You guys have to make your own decision to get into this. If someone forces you to get into something, you're not going to really like it. You have to build that passion yourself. Yeah, that's true. I think all you can do is just kind of show them, like, this is the returns that I'm getting. This is what it's able to do for me. This is how it's setting me up for, after basketball. By all means, do your thing, but this is out there for you.
I mean, honestly, it's really no different than kind of the same situation that we do. I mean, right? Because our whole deal is, hey, we want to be able to provide education, right? Provide resources to people. It was just like very similar in the vein of like Bigger Pockets, right? Yeah. To people who may not be aware, hey, you have options other than, a 401k, other than, the stock market, other than something that's so volatile. And most people, for most people, it's like, okay, well, yeah, my uncle had a rental, or like something kind of simple, right? Like, oh yeah, we rented out our last old house, and so like it's kind of smaller scale. They don't even think about it in the terms of commercial multifamily, right? Right. I feel like that's just out of the scope of most people's reality, right?
No, definitely. And looking through your guys is like basically the preparation for the podcast. You had one question that was like, what is one of the myths in real estate? And that's kind of what I would think about, is that, it doesn't take a lot of money to do it. If you start small, you can get into these larger and larger situations. You don't have to start small. You can start with a a 50 unit multifamily deal if you wanted to, if you knew how to do it. You know what I mean? If you educated yourself, then the proper way to get in with these operators and get on that GP, you could definitely do it if you had the knowledge and experience, I guess. So that's one of the
my first multifamily real estate deal was a 52 unit in Michigan.
There you go.
That's funny. I think, so let me ask you this. You mentioned they talk about 401ks and stuff, but a lot of those things have limits where a league minimum, in the NBA or whatever is so much higher than that.
For sure.
What
we were putting in, I think I was putting in like 18 a year. And NBA was matching or putting like 1.5 or 150% of what I put in. Mm-hmm. So they could. We were able to kind of build that a little bit quicker than most, I guess. But over the course of time, what I did with my 401k, my NBA 401k, I actually, after a year of being retired or out of the league, you can actually roll that over into a self-directed IRA. Mm-hmm. So what I did, I rolled it over into an equity trust IRA. Or self-directed IRA, and then I put it into one of Joe Fairless's deals, and then I put the other another part of it into another operator's deal. So I went through the process of doing that to help build my knowledge and my experience as a capital raiser, who to be able to say, all right, this is what I did with my IRA. You can do the same if you would like. If you don't like the returns that you're getting with the stock market or the volatility that you're getting with the stock market, you can roll that over into a self-directed IRA and put it into one of these syndications. So, that's kind of what I did. It was mainly just because I wanted to learn passive aspect of it and to be able to teach it to other, potential investors.
That's awesome though. I mean, you really have a unique position, where you're at. I mean, I'm kind of the situation I grew up in, of course I'm a minority, a single parent household. I don't imagine that's probably too different than a lot of the folks that may come up through, the NBA, right? We see some people have like really a hard time like managing like finances, right? And I think that's it with most people, right? If you gave me $1 million today, well, me today may be a little wiser than right. me 10 years ago, right? But, if you gave it to me, let's say in my young 20s, right, which is a lot of ball players, right, or, whatnot. I mean, it's like, oh my goodness, like I'm just going to buy anything and everything that I want. I'm not thinking about my future.
Well, no, not at all. This is what you're thinking. All right. You're thinking, all right, let's say you're a lottery pick. You're 19, 20 years old. You go, top 13, top 14 players in the draft. You're getting like 15 million, 4 years, 15 million, something like that. But what you don't understand is that 15 million is actually only like 6.5, 7 million. And what you do is, all right, I need a car. I need a house. My parents need a house. I need to take care of my family. I need to take care of my friends. And then after that, you're left with, obviously it's still a lot of money, maybe one a year, one point something a year. You go from, potentially having enough money to sustain you and your family for the rest of your life in a 4-year span to shit, I need to work. I need to get back. I need to get another contract or else I'm not going to be able to sustain my own lifestyle. A lot of people call it the expense creep. The more you make, the more your expenses are, and I see a lot of that in the life, in the situation that I'm in, the lifestyle that I'm in. And obviously that's one thing that I want to do is help educate, like you guys, help educate people in my position. All right, just because we're making a certain amount of money, a large sum of money every year, doesn't mean that we have to spend that every year, Doesn't mean that we have to, you can get to a point where you're sustaining your life and you're very comfortable. And then the rest of that, you can put that towards something else. Put it into like a 529 plan for your kids or, something similar to that, investment property or, like your 401k, anything. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I would love to be able to help educate. And I've actually thought about starting on my own podcast. I actually am starting my own podcast. Let me say that.
There you go.
You heard it first.
It's called. He's claiming it there. There you go. Good job.
It's called Walking with Giants. I'll talk to real estate professionals and professional athletes who have started their own businesses just to try and help educate the younger professional athletes on what they could do with their money. You know what I mean? And set themselves up for retirement, because life after basketball is a lot more or a lot longer than it is during, or I guess life after sports. there's a lot longer time period than there is while you're in sports. So you have to prepare yourself during that 10-year span, for the 40 years that are after it, or the 30 or the 50 years that are after it. So
I really like that concept too. Walking with giants.
right.
Most professional athletes are, to anyone you speak to, like they're just giants, not just, physically tall, but that's cool.
A little play on words, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I dig it. I lost it. What I was going to ask you.
No, I do think that that's awesome though. I mean, you really are in a unique position there, Shayne. I mean, of course, like to better your own position, but it's almost like you can extend a hand out to all the people that don't get a chance to do that. And I know, I mean, I've heard of, like, I guess that there's some programs and whatnot, just like how you were kind of mentioning, let's say for in the NBA or for ball players, trying to educate, hey, what do you do with all of this money, right? Like, how do you manage that? Because I think most people are not getting a financial education in school. That's just a given. But two, on the massive level of resources that come into your hands at such a young age, and it's just like you need to know what to do with this. Just like how you said, to sustain you and your family, like for life beyond professional sports, right? Because it's such a long. I mean, it really is not most. I mean, greatest, longest typical. Playing careers, I mean, are like 20 years, right? But that's definitely the exception. That's not the norm, right? I think for most players. So,
and you got to think NFL is going to be shorter than NBA.
Oh yeah.
So you got to prepare even more for guys like that. Guys' bodies take a beating, regardless of what you're doing: baseball, basketball, football, soccer, anything. I'm 30 years old. I feel like I'm 50. So I got to make sure that I'm financially set within the next 3 years, because I know I'm not going to be able to go past 35. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it for me. And I want to be able to walk. I want to be able to run. I want to be able to do all this activities with my kids while they're growing up. So I don't want to beat my body into the ground just because I need to make money. I need to support the family. So if I can set myself up now, I won't have to continuously beat myself up after. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. My very first real estate deal ever, I made $50,000, which to me was a lot.
That's a hell of a first deal too.
Yeah, I was like 21. I have nothing to show for it today. Like, I think I bought a Harley, which is gone, and maybe paid off some credit cards. Like, just gone. Had I known, I would have put that into a real estate deal.
Right. No, and I did the exact thing with my second contract. So like every year with the Pacers, I had 1 year contract. First year was even like a partially guaranteed. So I was guaranteed up until January 1st. And by that time, like I luckily had a great stunt in December when everyone got injured. I played like 4 or 5 games where I was basically the second string 5-man, played really well during that. They extended the contract for the rest of the year. And then the next year they fully guaranteed a full year. So that point in time, I was like, all right, I got to celebrate. I just had a fully guaranteed second year contract. I'm going to go buy a car. And I went and bought the dumbest car that I could have. I went and bought a Dodge Challenger Hellcat, brand new. So it was like $75,000, paid cash for it. And looking back, that is, if I would have put that into one of these syndications 5 years ago, that'd be $150, $180 something dollars right now. So like, that's how I think about my money now. You know what I mean? As a 23-year-old, I didn't think whatsoever about this. But, now my thought process on money has completely changed, because I know eventually this ball's going to stop bouncing. And I know if I'm not set by that time, it's over for me, because I don't want a day job. I don't want to go 9 to 5 or work in a cubicle, or, have to be responsible, or I don't have to have someone looking over my shoulder every day.
Well, not even just like, I couldn't imagine being a professional athlete and then like going to work.
Exactly.
But,
I like to think like like talking about, these circles of like financial freedom and kind of setting yourself up for success and whatnot. It's like, okay, well, my worst case scenario is everybody else is normal. Like my worst case scenario is getting a day job.
No, for sure.
I'm like, and that's a great place to be in, but you want to be able to.
Super blessed to be able to do that. And honestly, like I take it for granted a lot of the time. but it's just, I guess it's just what I'm used to right now.
Oh,
I love the lifestyle that I'm doing right now. I'm able to get up in the morning. I get up at 7. I work out. I get up after the lifting. I go to my actual basketball skills training at 9, and then I have the rest of the day to schedule out. Okay, I'm gonna contact brokers from 12 to 1 or 12 to 3 or something like that, and then after that, I'm gonna do all right from 3 to 4. I'm going to schedule out, all right, I need to go to the bank. I need to do this, do all my errands. And then, 5 to 9, I get Gracie time. I get to play with the daughter. I do go in her playroom. We just kind of hang out and play Elsa and Anna, and I drink fake tea and play with Olaf. You know what I mean? Like, I'm able to do that throughout my entire time while even overseas. And I don't want that kind of time frame to go away. You know what I mean? I want to be able to schedule out my own time every day for the rest of my life. And especially if you have a day job, you can't really do that.
Yeah.
So I'm working to get to the point where I'm able to spend my time on what I want to do.
I think that's everybody we talk to is like, that's why we're doing multifamily.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And I really don't even think it's that impossible. So I have a buddy that's pretty big into investing, but hasn't switched into real estate yet. He's like a stock market kind of guy, but he is determined that with, $4 million, which relatively I don't think is a lot of money. $4 million. Oh, well, okay. It's a lot of money to me. $4 million though, he can pay himself 20 grand a month. And, just the interest that he'll earn off of it, it'll just basically, that's it. $4 million. And he's retired for the rest of his life, taking $20,000 a month, which is a good sum of money, 20 grand a month.
That's wonderful. You know what I mean? That's amazing. Half the contracts that I've had overseas are similar to that. So like, obviously you could definitely live very comfortably off that, but like, obviously I don't want to be too greedy, but I also have things that I also have charities that mean a lot to me, to where I want to be able to fund their entire companies if I could. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, I didn't really want to get into this, but like my wife and I actually lost a child 4 years ago. Her name was Alexa Kennedy Whittington. That's where AKW Investments come from. My wife actually has a clothing line called Alexa Kennedy. So, at her baptism at the hospital, she had a gown that was made out of donated wedding dresses, and we absolutely love that. So it meant the world for us to have her in her baptism gown for her, her baptism. And I wanted to be able to provide that to other parents who go through the same situation as we did. So, I would love to have that in every single hospital that I could, especially in Indy, since we're here. But if we get in every single hospital, every single like, excuse me, baby hospital, whatever. And if we can get them in there, every single hospital around the country, then I would love to fund that. Obviously that would take a lot of time to get to, but that's a goal. You know what I mean? That's a goal that we'd like to get to. So
yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, hard to, thanks for sharing that too. And I'm sure like it's one of those things where, of course, like we all have these kind of underlying drivers, right, for where you want to get to, these kind of aspirational goals. I mean, and thanks for being vulnerable with that too, and then kind of sharing that too. I mean, I lost a child too, my wife and I did before our most recent one. And so like that's never easy. It's always a challenge. So
it's definitely a lot more common than we thought. And the more we talk about it, the more people we find. And that's kind of what we want to do. We want to continue talking about it. We want to continue shedding light on it and bringing those parents who have lost together and basically finding a community that we can continue to talk about and continue to remember our children. You know what I mean? Like I don't want her memory to fade whatsoever. And obviously we won't allow that. So I want to build entities that actually have her name, her memory, and if she can live on forever.
That's awesome.
Ugh, I'm going to shift away. I don't mean to disrespect anybody.
No, you're good. No, it's all right.
I'm a crier. My wife will make fun of me. I'll be watching The Voice and she's like, are you crying? I'm like, no.
Listen, I'm right there with you, bud.
Me too, man. Oh gosh, you got the 3 softies on here today. Like,
I know.
It's okay. It's okay to be vulnerable, man.
That's
right.
Totally.
That's right.
Okay, we're good, guys. We're good.
So let's transition a little bit playing professional basketball and then rolling that into just like the hard work it takes to build a real estate business. What are kind of the takeaways?
I kind of try and think about it like this. Everything I do, I try to use a sports analogy to try to equate it to real estate. It's either real estate or sports. You know what I mean? Everything that I've been doing for multifamily syndications or anything real estate related has a direct correlation with the amount of work or the amount of time that I've spent working in like professional sports or just organized sports. I couldn't think of it. I'm sorry. So like everything that I've done in real estate has basically equated to all the time that I've had in organized sports in general. So, all the greatest athletes, all the greatest, individual players, individual athletes have had coaches, and not just one coach. They've had numerous coaches throughout their entire careers. And I'm trying to do the exact same thing with real estate. So first coach was Michael Blanc. I found him on Bigger Pockets. Obviously, I heard him on a podcast and I looked him up. Started doing his mentoring program. And then I went to Todd Dexheimer. Started working with him, have been working with him. I'm currently still working with him. We're at almost the end of our mentoring program. And then I just met Brian Chavis out of Florida. So I'm trying to get to the point where I have this rock star team of mentors that I can go back and basically take every single piece of their excuse me, sorry. A lot of time. I'm trying to go back and take every single little bit of their advice and kind of collaborate it into what I feel like is the best route for me to take. You know what I mean? And you do the same thing with basketball. You do the same thing with sports. So every coach that you get, you're not going to agree with everything that they say, but they may have one or two things that really, really kind of radiate with you. And if you can take those one or two things and build on the foundation that you've had throughout your entire life and throughout the rest of those coaches that you've had, you can build an amazing system to be great at whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? What I try and do, especially with real estate, is that I try and look at it as, all right, I'm doing workouts every day for basketball, and I'm there's a reason why I'm a professional in basketball. It's because I work every day. I do what I'm supposed to do in the gym. I do what I'm supposed to do on the court. And I do what I'm supposed to do when I'm eating. I diet as hard as I train as well. So if I'm not doing the exact same thing with real estate, I know I'm not going to be as successful as I am with basketball. So there's a direct correlation between what I'm doing with basketball and how good what I'm doing with my sporting activities, with how good I am at that sport, and the same thing as what I'm doing with my real estate business and how good I am with my real estate business. If you can put the same amount of effort if I can put the same amount of effort as I put into basketball, into my real estate business, I know that I'm going to be as successful as humanly possible. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think finding a coach, finding a mentor is key, right? Because you don't know a lot of times what you don't know.
100%. 100%.
Man, my brain is not working today.
Did you have coffee this morning yet?
There with you.
Well,
I do have a question, Shayne. Do you ever let's say when you're doing broker relations and you're giving people calls, do you ever pull like the NBA card? Do you ever
all the time? All the time. If you looked at my LinkedIn profile, it has my top photo is of me, my wife, and my daughter, and then my profile photo is my favorite photo. Like it was the direct pass to my first NBA bucket. So it's me in my Pacers uniform, like that. That grabs people's attention. You know what I mean? If you can talk,
why not?
If you can talk to an ex-NBA, ex-NFL, ex-MLB guy, why wouldn't you want to give them 5-10 minutes to see what they're, And it also gives you credibility if you're talking to a broker. Oh, maybe this guy has some money. I'll give him a call, or I'll take his call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I use it as a marketing. Tactic. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Especially in the beginning when I was trying to really kind of develop these relationships with brokers, I would fall flat on my face in front of these guys, and it was difficult to get. Especially without knowing the lingo going into it. That was the hardest part. If I didn't know what a whisper price was, if I didn't know what a punch out was, if I didn't know any of this stuff, then they weren't interested. They knew it. And that was one of the reasons why I went with a mentor. I paid for a mentorship. And they said, hey, you need to do this in a market outside of your target market. Go do it in some market you'll never be in. Call as many brokers as you want. Practice on those guys. Obviously, it's not ideal for them because you're wasting their time, but it's good practice for you, especially as a newbie. And I feel bad to this day because I know, all right, I just basically wasted this man's time for 6 weeks trying to get my skills up in this aspect. But now I feel very confident talking to brokers, and I've developed my relationships with the guys that I like, and they deals when they have it. So I guess
well, don't feel too bad. Don't feel too bad. It's one of those things like, being in sales on the real estate side, like you'll gladly invest that time for even the potential, trust me, they've done far more work for less, you know what I mean? And it's just part of the game. It's just part of the business. Everybody kind of understands that on the real estate side. Right. So don't feel too bad. You're good.
Yeah. Well, so like you said too, it's really important to build those skills because sometimes having money isn't enough. Vince talks about it all the time. We know a guy, I'm not going to say anything that could maybe lead him to go on a smear campaign if he figured out it's him, but allegedly has a ton of money. We would never do a deal with him. Cause one, you have to interact with this person down the line. And
for sure. I've also heard, listen, it's sometimes it's the deals you walk away from, the money that you walk away from that make you successful as well. And being able to judge that kind of character, I mean, it's an underrated skill when it comes to this kind of situation, because if let's say you have an investor that is calling you every week or every 3 days saying, hey, what's going on with the property? Hey, where's my money? Hey, can I get my money out? It's going to basically ruin your time as an operator, and it's going to make you second guess going with anybody else again. You know what I mean? Especially that one person.
Yeah. How important do you think for your education, coming in as a passive investor for a couple deals just to kind of see the behind the scenes? How important do you think that was to your education?
I think it was, I definitely think it was good. It gave me a little bit of what should be sent to passive investors. It helped me evaluate deals a little bit better as well. There's some things that you like to see, and there's some things that you would not like to see. And in my experience, what I do now is I take the things that I liked when I saw those OMs or those investor packets. It was like, oh wow, I love this. I'm going to implement that into our next deal, our next packet. And the things that I didn't like, I was like, all right, we're going to trash that because that just doesn't look good. So it kind of helped me pick and choose what I like seeing as an investor. Obviously, my preferences aren't going to be the same as other investors, but if I get like-minded investors that are similar to me, then I feel like they would like the same stuff that I would like. So it helped me in that aspect. It also helped me network a little bit too. I was able to say, hey, this is what I've passively invested in.
Yeah.
These are the returns that I'm getting. These are what we're projecting. So we're projecting similar situations. This is a similar property. This is, a similar market. I was able to use that as marketing material to newer investors as well.
Yeah, that's what we tell people too. Like, I'm an LP in this deal. Or for me, before I did my first deal, I was a private money lender, something a little more short term. But it was like, as soon as I had that realization that my money could be working for me, but I didn't have the skills to implement it, I was like, I got to do something so that my money can start working while I continue the education process. So I did a private money lending for a deal in Kansas City, but it was like a 3-month term with some guaranteed interest, just because I was like, I can't sit on my hands now that I have this information, but I don't have enough to go out and build a real estate business.
Right. No, it's the same thing. And, these guys, let's say that these guys that are in my network, these guys have 7, 8, 9, $1 million just sitting in the bank right now. They do have the money to build what they want to do, but they don't have the time to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what makes me so excited about this, is being able to actually start my own. Like, that's why I wanted to start with the LP. I wanted to show them, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm only putting like 50, to 100 max in these deals with newer operators. I advise them to do the same thing. But like, once you find someone that's comfortable, I think 2, 3, and split it up between 2 or 3 operators that you really trust and really like. You diversify your portfolio, you diversify your operators, like you're putting your money to work for you. And depending on the deal, you can have it in, let's say a safe 10 to 15 year investment. You can have these quick flips, I guess, the 2 to 3 year, like I'm going to flip this going, or the 5 to 7 year, typical core plus buildings that just kind of do their own thing. Like they have options, they can diversify. And me being in those similar LP positions, I can tell them, like, this is what I do. I've diversified my portfolio. I've done all this stuff beforehand, and it works. It definitely works. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's not a Ponzi scheme. I'm not trying to steal money. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm trying to help. I'm providing opportunities. I want to,
I hear that. I hear that a lot at work, and I can say this because these guys will never listen to my podcast, but I hear that a lot. And I'm like, listen, like, real estate's not a Ponzi scheme. Like, if you want to get upset with me for, spreading the good word, by all means. Like, I would be doing you a disservice though if I didn't talk about real estate.
And
they're just giving me a hard time, but
for sure. That's the same. I work out with the guys that I work out with every day, and sometimes they get old. It gets a little old. I get it, but the guys that do understand it, the guys that have bought in, they're actually starting to make money now. So they're starting to talk about it. So that's when that kind of snowball effect starts happening. You get 1, 2, 3 of those guys, and they start talking about their investments. So that's when the real that's where I'm hoping the real investments start going. You know what I mean?
Well, and so you're in another unique position where all these guys are making quite a bit of money. I think for me and, some of the other partners, the goal is to be only an LP in the future, right? Like, you're still getting all this money through real estate, but at some point transition away from daily operations to just mailbox money.
That would be perfect. That definitely
a lot of those guys like, well, Shayne, I don't really want to build a real estate business. You don't have to. You could just be an LP.
And that's where it transitions from, it doesn't matter whether they're investing it with me.
Exactly.
I would much rather them, take control of their own money. That would make me feel better about my education towards them, and me educating them towards real estate in general. If they can take care of their own money and be the stewards of their own money, then I did my job as a friend and as a colleague, you know what I mean? But if they don't want to do that, if they don't have the time or they're too busy and they want to focus on this, and this, then okay, I'll be like, all right, we have opportunities for that as well. You don't have to do anything. You're basically getting, like you said, mailbox money, and you can continue living the life that you want to do while, playing basketball, or you can continue getting the money that you want to while, playing basketball.
Yeah, that's what I tell everybody. I said, there's enough deals for everybody. We don't have to be selfish about it.
For sure.
I think our group, we have a Facebook group too, the Honolulu Multifamily and More. We're coming up on 600 members, and it's totally just about adding value. You're not taking money out of my pocket if you do a real estate deal with someone that you met in the group. That's good.
No, exactly. Definitely. Like I said, it doesn't have to be with me. As long as you're getting into it, as long as you're educating yourself, and you're spreading the word about, because that's how much I believe in real estate. That's how much I believe in multifamily, commercial real estate. I don't care if it's with me. I just want you in it because I care about you as a human. I care about your family as friend and colleague. Like I said, I want you guys to be financially free. And I don't want to see you guys squander your money that you've worked super hard for. These guys work so hard every week, every day, every month, every year to kind of throw it away on dumb things like cars and houses and stuff like that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
That's one of those things too, right? Even just mentally, that piece of just moving from a position of let's say lack and limitation, right, to mentally just a place of abundance, right? I don't need you to do a deal with me. You're not breaking my bank. You're not hurting. There's no feelings hurt, and you're not affecting my success to not do a deal with me. If you can go out and do a deal, eventually, hey, we do some business together, wonderful. But I want you to be successful outside of what we're doing, right? So just having that mindset piece is so huge. That mental transition, I think it helps them understand, all right, this guy isn't trying to take my money. He's just trying to help situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I'm raising money, I'm never trying to feel or seem like I'm needy or I need the money. It's always I'm providing that opportunity.
Yeah.
If you invest with me, great, awesome. We're partnering together. We're going to take care of your money as well as we would take care of our own. If not, okay, how can we help you get to the point where you want to get to? You know what I mean? Like if I could help, if I can give them some context, like Logan Freeman, like we talked beforehand, like let's just give him a contact like that, and he'll go help them get into a situation with like single families, or another guy named Will Smith. He's a ex-NFL player down in North Carolina. Was a single fan or like a residential broker, and I was like, all right, I'll send guys to him. Like they'll find great investment property for you, single family stuff. He's got his own organization down there, so perfect. I'm here to provide value, whether it's I'm providing value through me or through someone else.
Yeah, and I think that's how you get that reputation, is like by not, you're just trying to provide value. Someone else might recommend you and bring you business, and you just don't worry about it; it'll work out.
Exactly.
Okay, I got another question for you, because again, you're in a pretty unique position. You're investing there in Indianapolis, so kind of your backyard, but you're out of the country a lot. We invest out of state. So switching it back to sports, like how do you build a team that you trust to kind of manage your investments while you're gone?
A lot of that happens while I'm in country. So
Yeah.
A lot of those meetings happen while I'm in country. I don't like going in with anybody that I don't meet personally, or like a Zoom meeting. Like I feel like there's a lot to be gathered from an in-person meeting. My wife is so sensitive to vibes, I guess. Obviously I make fun of her, but she's sensitive to people, the vibes that people give off. And I agree with her to an extent, because she's normally always right. Don't tell her I said that. But if I can check your vibe while I'm in person, like that's great. If I feel a little bit of uneasy, unrest, I guess, with you, then I'm probably going to shy away. But for the most part, those in-person interviews are huge for me. And that's what, we talked a little bit about this. COVID allowed us to do that with these newer operators, property managers that we're under contract with right now with the deal here in Indianapolis. It's definitely difficult sometimes, though, because, what I try and do, especially if we partner with a property manager or an asset manager, then I'm kind of a freak when it comes to constant communication. Obviously every Monday I'll contact the asset manager and see what's going on. Tuesday I'll maybe contact the property manager and see if there's any differences in what the asset manager is saying and what the property manager is saying, and then confer the rest of the week on seeing how we can fix whatever problem has arise, and things like that. So normally what we talk about is what are collections looking like every week? What are the maintenance requests? How many maintenance orders are going out unfilled per week, per month, all that kind of stuff, and what are we doing to kind of fill those requests? So particularly with this property we have under contract, through our due diligence process, we found out that they're kind of running the property a little thin, I guess, when it comes to their orders, their punch out orders and maintenance requests and stuff like that. So they have one full-time guy. It's 165 units. So in my opinion, they should probably have two guys, because every month there's, an increase in orders, but the increase is more than the decrease per month. So they continue stacking up. And once they get over like 100 pending orders, they'll hire out another sub or something like that. And they'll bring it back down to like 75 or something. But then they cut that sub and then keep going. And that's something I want to keep from happening especially when I'm overseas, because I can't just fly over and say, hey, what the hell's going on? Let's figure this out. Let's get, another reason why I want to stay in Indianapolis is that obviously we have family that's close. If I need to, I can say, hey, can you go stop by this property and see what's going on? Obviously, I really don't like bringing outside help into our business or into partners' business. But if need be, I can secret shop with family if needed. Especially if we're bringing on new property managers, see how they actually are when I'm not around.
Yeah, they got that 1-year contract, and if they don't earn their keep, they're getting cut.
Scooting in the boot.
That's funny.
It's like the NBA, right? Like you got to earn, you got to be able to earn that second contract.
Listen, there's 60 new guys coming in every year. You got to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, or else you're gonna get booted.
Man, How competitive. Let's talk about the deal that you have under contract right now.
All right, cool. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say Indianapolis. Set the
Yep.
stage for us.
Indianapolis MSA, it was a 165 unit deal, Class C, C plus, 9-acre property, 24 single story buildings, new roofs. We were raising 2.6 million probably. Purchase price was 8.3. Renovation budget's 5 per unit. We'll probably get a 32% ROI on that renovation. So we're expecting, we're predicting a 132 on average increase over the next 18 to 24 months to stabilize. We're using bridge loan to start, a 3-year bridge loan with 2 years IO. And we're getting the HUD 223F loan. PCNA, we just gave us the renovation, the required renovations to get the permit on there, and the reserves budget. So we got a decent reserve amount, and that was one thing that I really wanted to stress with the newer partners, is that we need, especially right now, we don't exactly know what's going to happen. We need a very big capital reserve, and we need to be very conservative with our occupancy, our vacancy, and our economic vacancy. So I wanted to make sure that we bumped up those numbers quite a bit just in case. And obviously we're still predicting, especially first months with our first years with IO, we're getting like 8% cash on cash, and then the next year, especially with the bumps, we're getting like 12. So everything kind of works out right now. Pending any disastrous situation with the economy, we should still be very, very comfortable with our cash flow and our distributions going forward. So I'm excited for this one. I really am.
Yeah.
This is my first actual GP. So I'm very excited.
That's a big deal. 165. How many partners do you have?
So there's three other ones. There's Gray Capital with Spencer Gray. There's Barrett Asset Management with Ivan Barrett, another one of his partners. And then there's Jay Reeder, who is also part of Gray Capital, who's going to be the asset manager. And then myself with AKW. Did
you find this deal?
No, I was actually brought on as a capital raiser to finish out the raise. I actually met Spencer Gray through another mutual friend, Logan Freeman. Yeah. And he wanted to, introduce us, just because I went to him talking about my podcast, how I wanted to, talk with other professional athletes. And he's like, "Oh, you're in Indianapolis MSA? Okay, here's Spencer Gray. I just talked to him the other day." So we got in contact. We went to lunch. We had like 3-4 lunches, and he was like, "Listen, man, like we have a deal under contract right now. We're trying to finish out the raise. If you can bring in like $500,000, we'll put you on the GP for 10% of the GP." And I was like, "Done. Let's do it." You know what I mean? So he sent me over everything, and everything looked good. I got to do all the due diligence with him. So it was a great experience to be able to walk the property, talk to the tenants, get the lay of the land myself. So I feel super comfortable going forward. The renovation budgets seem to be on par with what the property manager is saying, what the former property manager is saying, what they did for their renovated units that they had. So I'm like I said, man, I'm really excited to get this one going. It's set to close September 2nd.
Yeah, having an active role like that is pretty exciting. I think my favorite part is when we get on a plane to go walk a property. Man. Yours is local, but still, like, we show up, it's real. Like,
right? No, for sure, and I love doing that. And every Monday, I contact both Jay and Spencer. I'm like, "Hey, man, what can we do? What do you need me to do? I'll run errands. I'll do whatever you need me to do to kind of get that in-person experience." Like, obviously, everything right now is kind of on autopilot until the last few weeks, and when we need to set the roles and do all that stuff.
Yeah,
then the real work gets. Then the real, once you close.
Exactly. And that's another reason why I'm very excited. I've talked to Ivan Barrett a few times here in Indianapolis, and his management company, Barrett Asset Management, is extremely top notch. I love meeting them during the walkthrough. I asked them all the questions that I wanted to ask them, and they seemed super professional, and they seemed like they were a very family oriented company that took care of their employees. And these guys seem like they know exactly what they're doing, especially with the property type that we have.
Now, if you said 5K renovation budget per door, is that going to be a class change? Are you guys going to go from like a C to a B, B to an A?
So right now it's C plus. Potentially, I think it'll be a B minus. I don't know if it can quite get up to a B, especially in the area that it is. It isn't a bad area. It's not a terrible area, but I just don't see it going to be, especially during COVID. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially during COVID. So maybe if in the next, because we plan on holding it in 10 years. So let's say in the next 10 years, something like the diversification, that the gentrification of the area keeps going further east of Indianapolis. And I think potentially could definitely turn into a B. Because in the last 10 years, Indianapolis has expanded and gentrified so much, and it's almost unrecognizable. You know what I mean? So there's a good potential that it could happen, but I don't want to potentially be like, oh yeah, we're going to get a 5.5 cap at the sale. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and then we talked about earlier, stress testing your deals
for sure,
like reversion cap rates. We do all that stuff too. And if it's still going to be a deal after we like put in the worst case scenario, like
definitely
trigger.
Definitely. And that's one thing we did. We're doing an entity sale, so it potentially helps against the rise in property taxes in the beginning first few years. So we stress test it with property taxes being exactly where, it would be if we didn't have an entity sale. We did it at we have a chart where it's, the levels of cap rates that we think that could potentially happen, 7, 8, 9, and then we did 6, 5, 4 kind of situation, and what the returns would be at those cap rates at the end of it. So regardless of what there's even if it was an 8.5 cap, it'd still be 12% IRR over the course of 10 years. And obviously it's not what you want, but you're not losing money, man.
All right. Yeah, what preservation of capital, I think, is like the number one thing when you're using other people's money.
For sure. And that's one thing that obviously, if you're going to be an operator, I think you should really talk to money managers first before talking to real estate professionals. You know what I mean? You got to understand how to take care of people's money first before you actually get those guys into deals. So,
yeah. You lose everyone's money. You do that once, and no one else ever gives you money.
You're doing it again.
That's it. You're done. Yep.
Indianapolis, I hear talked about a lot. I know it was really popular with like real estate tours. People would fly out and they would go on these tours. Would you say that your property is in like the path of progress, or what do you see in Indianapolis?
I think so. I definitely do think so. Their path of progress seems to be going east and south. There's a lot being talked about the west side of Indianapolis as well. So we're on the far east side. If anyone's really familiar with Indianapolis, that there's a highway basically that goes all the way around in a circular motion, and it's called 465, and we're east of 465. So the gentrification is happening west of 465, but it's basically closing in on that. So it's come where it's at east of 465. And where it's at west of 465, that's kind of moving together. Mm-hmm. So we're already in that point where it's starting, and in the next 5 years, it could potentially be very, very nice where it's at.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of nice properties in that area. This is just one that needs more care right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
10-year hold. Do you think you guys might start getting some mailers? Hey, we want to buy your property. Would you guys sell it? You think?
I mean, it depends on what they're offering and what our returns are. If we get our target returns, why not? You know what I mean? If we can,
everything's got
increase the velocity of capital, why not? If we can, let's say it's within 3 years, we get everything situated in 3 years, and someone comes in, hey, we're willing to buy your property at this, and if it meets our requirements, why not? Go find another deal in 3 years. But if not, we have the luxury of holding it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you ran it through the ringer and stress tested already, so it should work no matter what, right? So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Now, so you've done, it sounds like, quite a bit of capital raising. Now, granted, you have a little bit different circle than most people, but what advice would you give someone looking to raise capital for deals? That's kind of universal.
I feel like a lot of people if I was going to give someone advice, I feel like a lot of people really should have their own financial situations situated before trying to get someone else involved in your company, I guess. And this is why I wanted to passively invest first. Obviously, a lot of people can't do that yet, but in my situation, I wanted to make sure that I knew the ins and outs of this syndication process through a passive investor, so I could explain it as best as possible. If I could be seen as an expert in that field, then I feel like more people would trust me with their money. And if I could show them the returns that I'm getting, more people would trust me with their money as well. But I needed to do it first. I needed to be my own case study. So I think that really helped me out. But another thing that I would say is you're providing an opportunity. Everyone says this. You're providing an opportunity. You're not asking for their money. You're providing them an opportunity for them to make money. And obviously you make money off of that. But it is more of all right, you're going to put your money in this situation. You're going to make this amount of returns. You don't guarantee it, but like this is what you see. This is the opportunity that you have in front of you, or this is the opportunity that I have. If you want it, okay, cool. If not, let me know if you ever do want to. You don't, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to provide my opportunity. I'm not gonna say I need your money right now kind of situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Please beg and all that stuff. That just looks terrible. If you want to put your money in this, okay. If not, okay.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like just educating people on it too. Once they see the opportunity, they see the, the potential return like that. Everybody's looking for the deal. Like the market's been flush with capital the last, the run that we've had, and even recently too, right? The stock market's been, it's been, even as volatile as it's been. There's a ton of money that's been made since COVID all started. So it's like, okay, well, hey, look, it's harder to find the deal than it is to raise the money.
For sure,
the money will be there.
People are still trying to distribute their capital for sure. One thing I will say again is that from a lot of what I'm experiencing right now is people are more investing in the operator and not the deal. If you have a great reputation behind you, if you're known for being a trustworthy and honest person, then they're more likely to invest with you, more likely to feel comfortable with giving you or basically investing alongside of you. So don't be a fraud.
Yeah. No, like I said, you can only do that once.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, that's like sales in general, right? It's like people do business with people they know, like, and they trust, right?
Exactly.
Like,
there you go.
You need all of those pieces, or else I'm definitely not going to be investing $500,000 with you.
For sure. No. Definitely no. There's no way. No, there's no way. I'm giving you $500,000 if I don't, like you said, know, like, or trust you.
Well, Shayne, we're coming up on, it's been a little over an hour. We try to keep it to about an hour. If there's, Steve, you got any more questions, or if there's anything else that you want to make sure that we cover, I would love to do that. Otherwise, we can wrap it up, and I won't waste too much of your time.
Yeah, I think I'm good. So I don't know if
I'm good, man. I just enjoyed talking with you guys. Really did. It's not every day you get to talk with some real estate professionals and really like-minded guys. So I appreciate it.
All right, what is the best book that you recommend other than Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Oof, other than Rich Dad Poor Dad. We were just talking about Grant Cardone and his 10X. His 10X book, in my opinion, it may not be totally about real estate, but it's more about your mentality towards your business and your life. I loved it, honestly. It made me aspire to be, like the book implies, 10 times better than I am right now. And if I can get to that point, then I would want to be 10 times better than I am right now, or than where I'm at then. So I listen to that book probably every like once every 3 months, just to make sure that my mentality is where it should be, and I'm continuing to strive for my goals that I set, periodically through the year. So I think 10X by Grant Cardone would be one that I would advise. Yeah,
absolutely. He gets you fired up. That's for sure. Take some action. 10X.
Definitely, for sure.
We like to take away that preloaded Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's a great book.
No, definitely, but it's everybody's.
It's everybody's. So we want to get some more options for people out there that are listening. Like, well, what else can I read?
Yep,
that's good. 10X roll.
All right, next one. What's your superpower?
I can reach stuff on the top shelf at the supermarket, being 6'10".
6'10".
I guess that's a good one.
That's pretty super. I mean,
Right.
That's funny.
That's a God-given talent right
For
there.
sure. Definitely.
All right. What are your hobbies? What are your favorite things to do?
It depends on the time of the year. I'm avid outdoorsman. I love going fishing, love going hunting. Being outdoors in general, any sort of sporting event would be great. Hanging out with my daughter and soon to be son. So those are kind of things that I do outside of basketball and real estate.
You've been up to Alaska?
Never been up to Alaska, but Canada is one of my favorite spots to go.
Okay.
Definitely love Canada.
I used to live in Alaska, and the hunting and fishing there is just like,
I'm sure it's outrageous. I'm sure.
Yeah. I almost want to move back too. When people think I'm crazy, like, would you rather live in Hawaii or Alaska? I'm like, you don't really want to hear the answer.
I'm sure Anchorage is really nice. How is it during the summer?
Anchorage, I've been to Anchorage like twice. And it's nice. It's got more like a coastal breeze, which kind of makes it colder though in the winter though. It's a little bit like a small town feel, but I was up in Fairbanks. So like,
Fairbanks. Okay.
Yeah. Very interior, not a lot going on. It's perfect for me. I loved it.
Gotcha.
My hunting spot was like, 25-minute drive from the house. I interrupted the fire round.
No, you're okay. I'm curious as to on this next question. Yeah. So Shayne, like being that you've actually traveled quite a bit, what's your favorite travel destination?
So we've been to quite a few cities in Spain. Obviously, playing overseas, you have European competition, so you go to different countries in Europe as well. We've been to Russia a few times. Our best experience overseas probably has been St. Petersburg, Russia.
Nice.
It was very, very cold during the winter, but it was absolutely beautiful city. And the Russian people are actually super nice, very, very caring, very loving. Our daughter was 4 months old when we first got there, and their healthcare for their infants is top notch. Honestly, top notch. We loved it. If we could go back, we would.
That's awesome.
St. Petersburg, I think. Yeah, St. Petersburg would be really nice. They got some beautiful architecture there.
Oh man, it was amazing. It was honestly like we went to the museums. Everything was very nice.
Yeah,
I definitely have to put that to the list. So as we kind of wrap up, do you have any requests, for our audience? How can people reach out to you if they want to connect?
We have a website. We have a landing page at AKWinvestments.com. You can reach me on Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Shayne Wick21 for Instagram, Whittington21 on Twitter, or look me up on Facebook. My email is shayne.whittington@AKW Investments. You guys can reach out anytime you want. I'm willing to talk, rap about whatever you want. So if needed, contact me.
Awesome. Very cool. Thanks for sharing with us. Shayne.
No, thank you guys. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great having you. We'll definitely reach out. I'm curious to know, aside from the podcast, like I think it would be really cool to get some sort of education platform about multifamily real estate for like the NBA, the NFL, MLB.
So I never really said it. But like my plan is as soon as like I'm actually established, I'm lead sponsor on my own deals. I want to get to a point where I have my own vertically integrated company. I can go to these, I still have connections with the NBPA, so the NBA Players Association. Yep. Go in there. And that's who organizes all the financial meetings or all the weird meetings that everyone has to go to. So if I could get into that and visit all 31 teams, say, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what you could be doing. If not with me, here's other options kind of situation, just to get my name in front of these guys as an ex-NBA, because they preach that a lot. It's a fraternity. There's not many people that are actually franchised or are tagged as NBA veterans. So, it holds some weight with the basketball world. So let's say we do get in front of these teams, and maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 of these teams actually are, hey, continue coming back. These guys really liked it. We'd love to schedule something else with you. That could potentially expand everything. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. I'd wonder if, so obviously we do our meetup, which is an educational platform. And then one of our partners, Vince, is a Wheelbarrow Profits coach. Have you heard of those guys? Wheelbarrow Profits?
I've heard of Wheelbarrow Profits for sure.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, like, what you guys do weekly meetups, you said?
Well, so we do monthly meetups. We were doing them all in person. Now they're virtual. But we'll do like an education series. So that's
would you be able to send out links to that? I would love to be able to join that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So if you go to our Facebook, Honolulu Multifamily and More, I think we've put recordings on that, and then we got your email. We'll put you in the active campaign, and Duke sends out the replays of all of them. Sometimes we'll have, everyone's kind of figuring out this virtual thing. And in my opinion is once we go back to in-person meetups, I'd like to still have some kind of a virtual aspect. Cool. We usually stream it on like a Facebook Live, but there's been no interaction with the people who are watching virtually. It's just been to capture everything.
Gotcha.
But now we can have people from all over come in, and we'll do sometimes we'll do a guest speaker. We do breakout rooms. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's kind of our educational platform. It'd be really cool to help out with that project. I would say, depending on what that timeline looks like, you might want to just be the first to market before somebody else comes and offers that service to the Players Association.
Right. No, for sure.
I mean, you're already doing more than most, it sounds like.
So Josh Childress is another NBA vet who's played quite a while, and he's doing this stuff over in LA. He's doing a lot of opportunity zones in Compton, and where he grew up. Like, he has his own syndication company, and I've been trying to get in and just kind of talk with him, see how he's doing. So I plan on sending him something as soon as we get my podcast going up. I'd love to be able to talk to him. He's one of the guys that is doing it at a high level out of the NBA. So
yeah,
but he's the only one that I know of that is doing it. So
yeah, so he's doing it personally, but he's not offering it as like a educational coming in.
He might be. I have no idea.
Yeah, well, I mean, let us know. Maybe that's something we could help you with, kind of develop the educational piece, and then you be the delivery, you're the messenger.
That'd be really cool.
You're the guy with the credibility.
You guys have the credibility right now. I'm one deal deep, bro. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, with the NBA, though, I don't got a blue check mark next to my name.
He's not 6'10". Neither am I.
My closest tie to the NBA is growing up, Lewis Williams, Lewell. So he's from South Gwinnett High School, and a good friend of mine, his dad was like the girls basketball coach. So we would go play rec league a lot, and we'd go up to the rec center and just watch him like dunk on people. My buddy was friends with Lewis Williams. Well, friends. We were like middle school, they were in high school, but he could go play with them. And so seeing him kind of enter the league was cool for
I'm sure it's super
Belleville
cool.
And Gwinnett County. But
yeah, exactly.
Well, Shayne, you can come out to Hawaii, and we'll have a special meetup or whatever whenever we can do all of this more stuff.
That'd be really cool. So, honestly, yeah. I'd love to do that. I'm sure my wife would love to do that too. So maybe next summer when we're home, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Or if in Japan, I mean, you likely have depending on where you're coming from,
right. Let's hope all this COVID stuff goes away here pretty soon. Vaccine is there, and everyone's able to go do normal life stuff. So
yeah. Where in Japan are you going to be? I think some of our investors, Daniel's in Kyoto, right?
Yeah, it's outside of Kyoto, I think.
So my buddy, actually, one of my groomsmen, played in Kyoto for 3 years. I think I'm in Nagoya. I'll be in a city outside of Nagoya.
I've heard of it. My Japan geography isn't top notch.
Mine either. I know Spain like the back of my hand, but Japan is just not. I got to get used to it,
Yeah, I had a friend out there too. I've been to Japan very briefly. Like, we flew through the airport. We had a couple hours to kind of hang out at the military base there. But she says it's pretty similar to Hawaii, like just from pictures and stuff.
From what I hear, it's like I said, it's a spot to be, especially when it comes to like basketball and professional players over there. They take care of you better than they take care of, most anybody else, I guess. They're very respectful. Everything's all about honor and respect, and most other teams aren't. They'll pay you on time. For the last 3 years, I've had trouble getting my money on time all the time. Obviously, we get our money, but I'm still waiting. Like, I'll be paid from this Japanese team being in the States next week, while I'm still waiting on the Spanish team to pay the remaining of my contract. So obviously it's different. It's COVID, but like the COVID kind of messed everything up. But I'm just saying, like, the Japanese culture is something that I think is something that we should all be resembling.
Yeah, they're really good. They're really good. The food's awesome too.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Some real sushi.
I'm a big eater. I don't know. I'm 250. I love all this food. Anytime we go somewhere, the Russian food was great. Spanish food is by far my favorite. So I'm excited. I'm excited to experience some authentic Japanese food.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love it.
Good. Awesome, Shayne. Well, it was awesome to talk to you today.
You as well, man.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, guys. I really did.
Hey.
It was very nice meeting you guys.
Yeah, great meeting you, Shayne. Go enjoy some time with the family. Give mom a little break there, and
she needs it for sure. Definitely, she's gonna have 2 of them for the next 10 months.
All right. Well, have a blessed day. Have an awesome one.
You as well, guys. Have a good night or day.
Thank you.
Yeah, day.
Earlier. Yeah.
All right.
Bye, Shayne.
Thanks. Aloha. Wow, Matt, what an awesome show today. So super excited to have had Shayne on the show. Yeah, what a cool guy, for one. I mean, just sharing his experience with us, for one, about his experience with being, a professional NBA player, but then also, two, how he's been able to leverage some parts of that to be able to help get into multifamily investing, both as an LP and now as a GP. So that's super exciting. Definitely also, he shared with us some gems about how, how NBA players and professional athletes put in tons of time and effort into being able to get their bodies and into physical shape, to mental shape as well. But how he's learned how to translate that and encourages us to do the same to be able to get into the real estate space as well, making sure to put in that time and the work and effort and commitment, how valuable that is, and also too, like how building relationships, how people want to work with trustworthy people. Especially with your investors, especially if you're putting together syndications and deals, if you're working on that yourself, you need to concentrate on the relationship aspect as well. So, but yeah, great show with Shayne. I'm sure you guys will find tons of value in it. So make sure that you download it or share with your friends, anybody else that might be interested. So great show with Shayne. We're super excited to have him on.
Yeah, and as always, if you found value in this podcast, please subscribe so you can get the latest episodes. We'd also love it if you give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And then if you know anyone who might resonate with today's podcast, just share the episode with them. To connect with like-minded investors, you can join our Facebook group, Honolulu Multifamily and More. And if you're interested in connecting with us, you can visit our website at tricityequity.com, download our ebook there, or you can follow us on Instagram, Tri-City Equity. Yeah, so we'll see you next time, guys.
Aloha.